On this second day of March 2002, there are 12 Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference basketball teams still dreaming of the NCAA tournament. This is the MAAC basketball tournament from the Pepsi Arena in Albany. We've got 4 men's quarterfinals and 2 women's semifinals coming up live here in Albany all day and all night long. This is the MAAC Television Network. Good morning and welcome to the Pepsi Arena. This is the 2002 HSBC MAAC tournament. This is MAAC quarterfinals Saturday. We will be on the air with you for the next 14 or 15 hours, however long it takes to get our 4 men's quarterfinals and our 2 women's semifinals finished and in the books. And welcome, everybody. This is Doug Sherman along with Glenn Consor. So glad you could join us this morning for what is going to be another marathon session of college basketball. And, Glenn, we say this every year, that this MAAC tournament is wide open. Any team can win it. Well, this year, more so than ever, I think we have 7 teams with legitimate chances to come away on Monday going to the big dance.
Well, there really isn't that much difference between the Marist and the Riders and, of course, the Siennas and the Fairfield, depending on who advances. The most important thing right here is going to be who comes to play for 40 minutes to take it to the next game. You got to take one game at a time, and obviously teams are capable. Ryder and Marist clearly are the 2 hottest teams going into this tournament, but you can't forget Manhattan and Niagara, what they did the second half of the season. All 4 of those teams have breakdown players that can take over, and I think that's the most important thing.
Okay, Glenn, let's take a look at the brackets and some of the men's action we're going to be seeing all day and all night here at the Pepsi Arena. We'll begin with the number 1 seeds. Ryder against Canisius. After the Golden Griffins won their play-in game yesterday, the Bronx come in as hot as anybody with the Conference Player of the Year, Mario Porter.
Well, Mario Porter is the guy to stop from Canisius' standpoint. Canisius, on the other hand, had a great game in the Friday game against Loyola. Their key is they shot the ball well. That's something that Mike McDonald has really struggled with all year. They shot over 50% for the first time against Loyola. They're going up against a Ryder team that really could push the ball up the floor. They play methodical as well. Championship teams could play in 2 speeds.
Now, at noon today, we will be back with the first of the men's quarterfinals. It's the 4-5 game, and if we can take another look at that bracket, you can see that it may turn out to be the best game of today. The Purple Eagles of Niagara against the Gales of Iona.
Well, we're talking about Iona, and we're talking about can Courtney Fields play this game. He is off his cast. He obviously is the most valuable player on that Iona team. Second team all-conference player, 6'9", he can handle the ball. His presence is needed for Iona. From Niagara standpoint, Darryl Green does a great job running the show and also making outside shots. They got Mendez, who's been a terrific player. The key to Niagara, though, is if Schmidt can make shots from the outside, that will open up the inside for guys like Reeves and Mendez.
Okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to go grab a cup of coffee. We suggest you do the same.
We're going to get to know each other because we're going to be spending a lot of time together.
A little bit more, but right now we'll take a break, and when we come back, on the women's side, we've got Dean Darling and Cecilia DeMarco. They will join us here at the Pepsi Arena getting ready for the women's semifinals here at the 2002 HSBC MAAC tournament at the Pepsi Arena. Good morning once again, and welcome back to the Pepsi Arena. We've got men's basketball coming up with the quarterfinals at noon today, but in the meantime, we've got the first of our 2 women's semifinals. Coming up in just a few minutes, we've got the Manhattan Lady Jaspers against the Peahens from St. Peter's. And for that, I send it to my broadcast partner, Dean Darling.
And thank you kindly, Doug. Good morning, everybody. We're just minutes away from that matchup of the Jaspers and the Peahens. I'm Dean Darling, along with Cecilia DeMarco. And Cecilia, this year's women's MAAC division, extremely competitive, right from the top down to the bottom.
Competitive and exciting, Dean. When teams played in regular season action, no one knew who would be the victor. Years past, when MAAC teams, first 4 teams would walk in, it would almost be, hey, this is going to be an upset. Lots of upsets this year. Teams beating teams that hadn't beat teams in 10 years. The season wasn't settled. The dust wasn't settled for the seedings until the very last day in February. It was a great finish for a MAAC season.
Now let's take a look at the scores from the overall tournament, and we begin with the play-in round. 2 upsets to start things out.
Well, Iona upsetting Ryder, 55-52, very first round. Number 10, Loyola, upsetting Niagara in number 7 seed. It's been indicative of the year.
And then moving on to the quarterfinals, all the higher seeds won except for Canisius, knocked off in overtime against Fairfield.
Well, number 5, Fairfield, I had said from the start that was such a close matchup. It could have been 4-5, 5-4, whichever, apples and oranges. Fairfield had been there before, had beaten Canisius twice in regular season. First game being a blowout, second being very much closer. Third game here, overtime. What a great way to get to the fourth.
Here's the way we go today. Two excellent semifinals as we look at the brackets, and we begin with the first game, St. Peter's and Manhattan.
Oh, Manhattan and St. Peter's is going to be, I think, probably one of the best games we'll see in women's basketball. Very athletic, all kinds of wonderful players to talk about, plays to see. This is going to be a great 9:15, 9:45 ball game.
And then in the nightcap, the host team, so to speak, Siena, taking on Fairfield.
Well, these two teams have played before. Although Siena had been successful twice during the regular season, Fairfield and Siena go back. They have a long history. We watched here last year Siena win a championship and upset Fairfield. So Fairfield might be thinking a little bit of revenge. What a great matchup to finish off the season.
Well, coming up next, we'll have that first semifinal of the day, the Jaspers and the Peahens, when we come back to the Pepsi Arena after this break on the MAAC Television Network. And good morning from the Pepsi Arena here in Albany, New York. Today it is the MAAC Women's Semifinal Round featuring the number 3 seed, the Lady Jaspers of Manhattan, against the number 2 seed, the Peahens of St. Peter's. Here's how they got here in the brackets. Double-figure win yesterday for Manhattan over Marist, and likewise it was St. Peter's knocking off Loyola by double digits. Welcome, everybody. I'm Dean Darling along with Cecilia DeMarco, and these two teams met twice in the regular season. Both times St. Peter's came out the victor by 3 and 14 points, respectively. However, you got to look at St. Peter's going into this game. They've got the edge as far as playoff experience.
Well, they've been to this promised land 10 times. They, in the last 10 years, have not missed a Final Four appearance. Manhattan, on the other hand, in the last 10 years, hasn't been here. St. Peter's certainly has the edge of players that have been here before.
And the Jaspers this year are led by sophomore forward Rosalie Mason, and right now leads the MAAC in rebounding, 11.5 a game.
Well, Rosalie is unstoppable. She's just a great rebounder, tenacious on the boards, is 5th in the country of all Division I schools in rebounding, and also is able to score. She's averaging 19 points a ball game. She is their go-to player.
St. Peter's today goes for win number 24 overall. They got a tremendous front line, and it's anchored by Felicia Harris.
Oh, Felicia Harris has been just everything that St. Peter's has needed in a game she's been willing to do. She puts the ball down, she goes to the hoop with authority, and she can shoot the outside shot. When they need a big one, look to Felicia Harris.
All right, Cecilia, let's take a look now at our HSBC keys to the game. We start with the Jaspers.
Well, the Jaspers need to run. They're a good team when they're running. They get easy baskets. They need to keep the ball out of Porter's hands. Porter's averaging less than 1 turnover a ball game, and they must rebound against the Peahens. You take a look at the Peahens. Peahens have to set the tempo. They want to control the tempo of the game. They need to get the ball inside. They have great post players, and they have to defend Manhattan's ability to shoot the 3.
All right, thanks, Cecilia. Coming up next, we will have today's starting lineups when we return to the Pepsi Arena on the MAAC Television Network.
This game is brought to you in part by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi. By HSBC. By Continental Airlines, work hard, fly right. And by the New York Lottery. Have you bought your lotto ticket yet? You could win millions. New York Lotto. Hey, you never know.
And back here for the semifinals of the 2002 HSBC Women's MAAC Tournament. We come to you from the Pepsi Arena in Albany, New York. Our matchup today, Manhattan and St. Peter's. Let's take a look now at the I Love New York starting lineups. First of all, we start with the Jaspers, and Cecilia will go with a 3-guard look, Sheddick, Bach, and Kilkenny.
Well, you know, I think that I mentioned in the keys to the game, Manhattan wants to run. They can do that when they have 3 guards. All 3 guards lighted up from three-point land. So this will be a tough little matchup for the Peahens to start the ball game. Can they slow them down?
And now for St. Peter's, they are anchored at the guard spot by Sue Porter. She leads the team in 3-point percent. Natasha Phillip, Layla Willis, a 3rd-year player. Felicia Harris, we already spoke about, first-team all-conference player. And then second-team all-conference player, Tanisha Seaton.
Well, when you take a look at this, we talk about, you know, Porter doesn't make mistakes. She averages less than 1 turnover a ball game. Just does a great job. They're well coached. Mike Grinelli is the best in the business, and his team is ready to play some basketball.
In his 30th year, looking for win number 577. On the other side of the table, co-coach of the year in the MAAC. In his 4th year, it is Sal Buscaglia. 69 wins and 54 losses.
And he just loves his team. I listened to him at the press conference yesterday. He calls his team his family.
Ready to go from here at the Pepsi Arena. Today's referee, Marty Novich, joined by umpires Kathy Lonergan and Bob McEntee. Jaspers started out. Sheddick, who led him in scoring against Marist yesterday, she had 18 points, knocked down 4 3-pointers. That's Eve Waters with it. Working down low now. And a miss off the jumper by Mason. Jaspers come away with it and get another shot.
Well, this Jasper team is so active defensively that St. Peter's has to be careful on its outlets because they'll jump right into passing lanes.
Nice block there by Seton, and the Peahens bring it away for the first time.
And you'll notice St. Peter's will come down very much in control. They use the clock on offense. They'll make good decisions with the basketball. Porter sets this tempo up.
Layla Willis now over the way of Harris for the 3. The clear by Kilkenny. Still no score, a minute 7 in. Brought down there by the 6'2" Eve Waters. Kilkenny will track it down. Played by Willis. Waters trying a deep one. And had a very good rebounding unit. Porter pushing tempo. That's Phillip. Both teams tight to start things out.
I think that both teams want this game so very badly that it's no surprise that they'll start out a little tentative, especially in the offensive end.
Still no score, a minute 45 into today's semifinals between St. Peter's and Manhattan. Another miss there by Sheddick. Sue Porter will bring it up, averaging 3 assists a game, second on the team.
And this zone that Manhattan's in is forcing St. Peter's to move the basketball, really challenging them to look inside and take more offensive outside shots than they might like to.
Half turn, Phillips puts it in, and it's 2-0 Jaspers.
And St. Peter's has opted to pick up in 3-quarter courts. Porter will be on Bach all day, making her make passes.
Sheddick averaging 8.7 a game, and they'll reset the clock.
Manhattan has to get the ball to Rosalie Mason. She's their go-to player, and she's only touched the ball once in the last several possessions. If they're going to get St. Peter's to make mistakes, it'll be with Rosalie getting the ball more often.
And a throwaway off the inbound. Eve Waters had a nice day yesterday. She had 15 against Marist in the quarterfinal win.
Well, team talks about her. I caught the tail end of the press conference, and they really do love Eve. They love playing with her, and they're so excited about the success that she's beginning to have.
There's Porter from real deep. Rosalie Mason averaging 11.5 caroms a game.
And Harris is urging her teammates to get to the boards.
2-0. Jaspers in the lead. There's Waters.
And nice block. Seton got a piece of it as Walters went up for the shot.
Seton, the transfer in from Kentucky. Sheddick the lead out. Back is Porter. A player control foul.
And Porter just steps in, gets her body in the right position, plants her feet. We'll take a look at the replay, and you see that Sheddick comes down with the basketball. You see Porter step in, solid there, takes it right in the chest and sits down, so the official can't miss the call, but it was an easy call to make. It was a nice defensive play on Porter's part.
First foul called in the ball game. St. Peter's leads 2-0. This year, 23-5 overall.
And this tempo really favors St. Peter's. They don't particularly run a lot. They will run when you give it to them.
Working around the horn. Phillip stepping inside. She leads it 4-0.
And Tiana Sears has stepped into the game, and she's a freshman that Coach Granelli calls the finest post player to sign directly from high school in the history of the program.
4:03 off the game clock. Early start here for St. Peter's. They lead 4-0. Back with more on the MAAC Television Network.
What are you looking for in a college? Cutting-edge academic programs, a faculty that's second to none, great recreational opportunities and residence halls? How about a college that will provide you with the education you need to become a leader in your profession and in your community? If that's what you're looking for in a college, you'll find it at Canisius. To learn more about Canisius College, call 1-800-843-1517 or visit us on the web at canisius.edu. Canisius College, where leaders are made.
Welcome back to our semifinal matchup. St. Peter's out to the 4-0 lead. Natasha Phillip with all 4 of their points. HSBC is proud to sponsor the HSBC Family Section. HSBC salutes the MAAC and today's families in attendance.
And you mentioned, Dean, that Natasha Phillip has all 4 points. She only averages 3.9 a ball game. So St. Peter's is just taking what Manhattan will give them. And if you give Natasha Phillip a look, she's going to the basket.
Jasper's struggling from the field, only 0 for 5. St. Peter's knocked down 40%. Jasper's come away with it once again.
And Seaton's back in the ball game.
Sheddick was the MAAC Rookie of the Year her freshman year when she averaged 10 points, coming off an average of just under 9 a game this year in her junior year.
And Sheddick is the kind of player that can play both the point and the 2 guard. She's a great little 3-point shooter.
There's Walters for the spin.
Boy, she has improved, Dean. You know, I've watched her in the last couple of seasons, and she's just gotten stronger and stronger. She's just playing with great confidence. Evident that her teammates have confidence. They're going inside to her early.
She got banged up a couple times in yesterday's quarterfinal game, but got off the deck each time to come back and score.
Well, you know, she's great size, 6'2". She runs. She can beat you down the court. She's got pretty good hands.
Siobhan Kilkenny on the personal foul. And the inbound will come for the Peacocks as Porter's taken out. Into the game for the first time is Gonzalez. And Seaton getting tall there on the baseline.
Well, you know, Coach Granelli feels that he's got some great inside presence, and Seaton certainly takes you to the low block, has that great little move, and usually finds nothing but net.
Manhattan of the year, 18 up and 10 down. They went 12-6 in MAAC play. Finished up in the 3rd spot. Mason leaning in that time on Harris. She's got the inside shoulder on her.
And Mason, when she gets low, is tough to stop. She just put her shoulder down, saw daylight, and went in the basket. Great move on her part.
Peahens by 2 early here in the first half. Wouldn't go that time for Phillip.
Mason plays so big, both on the offense and the defense. She only stands 5'10", plays more like 6'2".
St. Peter's with an excellent defense leading the MAAC this year, giving up 61 a game, but that one rattles in by Kilkenny.
And they're going back door, and Mason passed the ball, found a cutting Kilkenny, and Kilkenny laid it up.
All tied up at 6 minutes in. Gonzalez out of the Rockland County area. In fact, she was the Rockland Player of the Year her senior year from Haverstraw, New York. That is she. Little dish for Phillip. Shot clock down to 8 seconds, a 3-second violation on Seaton inside.
You know, I'm impressed with the time that St. Peter's is willing to take to find a good shot. They're not rushing shots. They're passing the ball around the perimeter very well, and they're really making the defense shift from side to side. The only way that you can break down a zone defense is to go from side to top to side, and they're doing it very well.
That's Bach. Kilkenny for the 3. Gonzalez kept it alive, tapped it over to Seaton. Phillip giving a lot of room.
I think they're challenging Phillip. I think Manhattan is saying to Phillip, look, we'll find out if you can shoot the shot. If you can, you're a 39, I'm sorry, you are I'll take a quick look. You're a 43% shooter, but you don't take many shots. So she's willing to shoot it.
Porter back into the lineup, joining Gonzalez in the backcourt. Willis, nice look for Harris.
And Harris did a good job making sure that she did get hit, and the officials saw that. Rosalie just really catapulted right over her. You take a look here, the ball is passed in, and nice pass. Good catch in Felicia's part. Strong move to the basket. Couldn't finish off because Rosalie had landed on her back, but nice move on Harris's part. Two of the best players in the conference going at each other.
Harris goes to the line 7 times a game, shooting at 76%, the senior out of Red Bank, New York.
Well, Harris, she just shows up each and every game ready to play 100%. She can shoot, she can rebound, she goes to the foul line, she makes good on it, and she'll take the big shot.
St. Peter's leads early, 8-6. Token pressure by the Peahens.
The Peahens have gone a little bit of a zone, playing a little bit of player-to-player, going back and forth, trying to get Manhattan a little confused on their offensive sets.
Donette Reed has checked into the Jasper lineup wearing number 14. She's a spark plug for them. And a drain there by Tiffany Shetting.
And that's the disadvantage of St. Peter's zone. If you give Manhattan enough time to recognize that they're in the zone, then, boy, I'll tell you, they've got some nice outside shooters.
Jasper's grabbed the lead by 1, 9-8. There's the deep one.
And Porter right at Shorty Reed says, okay, let's take it to town.
Sue Porter 5'3", Shorty Reed at 5'2".
But they play awfully big at that size, Dean. Both these players make a lot happen.
Reed for the runner. Mason put back by Seton. Shot clock down to 9.
Some just wonderful athleticism in this game.
Reed steps inside, she walked.
Yeah, she picked her pivot foot up. The official was right on it.
11:42 left here in the first half. St. Peter's with the bucket lead of 11-9. We're back with more from the Pepsi Arena after this.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a fast-changing world. 450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a fast-changing world.
Fans don't miss the 2002 MAAC Golf Championship at Disney's Wide World of Sports in Orlando, Florida, April 25th through the 28th. For spectator packages, contact Anthony Travel at 1-800-736-6377 or go to www.anthonytravel.com. Tanisha Seton has been tough inside, coming up with several rejections early.
Well, I'll tell you what, she has 36 blocks in the season. She can get up off her feet. And take a look here. She steps up, comes out of nowhere, and just rejects again. Rosalie Mason going to the basket. This kid has great ups.
St. Peter's leading early, 11-9 over the Jaspers. Here's Gonzalez pumping the way of Willis. That's Harris. Nice dish for Seton.
St. Peter's has to put those kinds of shots down, Dean. They won't get too many looks like that, and Seton really has to set a little bit. They need her to score some points in the paint.
Entry now for Mason. That time she didn't get the rejection from Seton.
And Mason just, she reminds me of the old Celtic player Cedric Maxwell. She puts her shoulder down, really makes you commit, and then goes up and lays it up on the glass. She's very quick in the way that she moves to the basket.
There's Harris. Tied up. Eve Walters did a nice job.
Harris has been a little quiet thus far in the game. She's been to the foul line, but she's only taken one shot. So Harris needs to get more involved in the offense so that other players will free themselves up. But Manhattan's doing a nice job in the defensive end.
And a foul off the inbound.
Tiana Sears, the freshman that we talked about a little earlier, is in the ball game right now, and she's a 6'2" freshman from Bloomfield, New Jersey. She's a key player for them. When she and Seton are together, they own the glass. She's very, very mobile, and she's a very difficult matchup for this Manhattan team.
Grinelli calls her the finest post player to sign directly out of high school in the history of St. Peter's. Her Bloomfield high school team went 90-18. And she scored just shy of 2,000 points by a margin of 76 points, 1924 total. And she had 1,278 rebounds.
And she can, she does it all. She steals, she rebounds. She's going to be one of the greats for St. Peter's in years to come.
St. Peter's leads 13-11 over the Jaspers. St. Peter's entering play, the number 2 seed. Jaspers number 3. Here's Mason with a good look. And the window she used to tie it at 13.
And Rosalie Mason is living up to all of that pregame hype, isn't she?
She's got 6 in the ball game. There's the skip for Porter. Harris from straight on. Missing on the 3.
They're challenging them right now. Jaspers are challenging St. Peter's to shoot from the outside. St. Peter's is not a very good three-point shooting team, only averaging 29% in the ball game.
Reed setting up Eve Walters.
Eve Walters has really surprised me. She's gone out much further from the basket and taken some great long-range shots. I'm not sure that she's factored into what St. Peter's is prepared for.
She has 4 here this morning. Gonzalez for the outside shot. Walters cleans up.
And when they can rebound, when the Jaspers can rebound, they can run.
Sheddick for a 3-ball. Finally wrestled down.
And Mason was among 4 white jerseys trying to keep that ball alive on the offensive end.
And Mike Grinelli wants to call for a timeout.
I just don't think he likes what he sees. I think he's bothered that his team hasn't been able to offensively rebound. They've missed some outside shots, but they've got some big people in that middle right now. They're 2 biggest players in Seton and Sears, and they haven't had any offensive rebounds, so I'm sure that's what the discussion is about.
Rosalie Mason leads the way with 6 points here this morning.
You take a look here, and she's going up strong. She just dips her shoulder. I'm surprised that she's as quick as she is. She's moving like a guard this year. She goes up strong. She can power it up. Boy, they have got themselves a great sophomore.
Out of London, England. She, as a freshman, made the MAAC all-rookie team, and this year first-team all-conference performer.
21 double-doubles this year, 20 in the regular season, and her 21st last night in their win against Marist.
Jaspers lead it by 2. St. Peter's trying to tie it up. That's Sears and a walk.
Well, Manhattan is challenging St. Peter's, saying, hey, shoot the outside shot. They're giving them lots of room. They're clogging the middle. Seton hasn't been able to touch the ball very much, nor have we seen Sears touch the ball near as much as St. Peter's would like.
Reed for Walters, foul line jumper.
And Walters is the first player down the court. 6'2" player running the court.
They're getting a little spunk from Shorty Reed as well. She's pushing tempo.
She's a quick guard.
4-point lead now for the Jaspers. Step it out is Gonzalez. Given room by Sheddick. Now Sears on the outside.
And Sears is taking outside shots. 6'2", she needs to get inside. And she's picked up a foul as she went for her offensive board.
And Tiana Sears too aggressive that time, knocking over Walters.
And although St. Peter's is playing at the pace that they like, they're not running themselves very much, not getting beat very often. They need to get to the glass at this pace. If they're kept off the glass, and that was Manhattan's concern, how can you stop those two big post players from getting to the boards? They seem to be doing a very good job of it at this stretch in the game.
Here's the pressure. Sheddick to bring it up against Porter. Donette Reed, named to the MAAC All-Rookie team. In fact, she was named Rookie of the Week the last week of the regular season.
She had a great finish of the season and really did put Manhattan in a position to take that third seed outright.
Sears with the block runs the shot clock down to 6 seconds.
She's quick off the dribble, isn't she? You see her when she makes that crossover move, boy, she's hard to beat. If Sears hadn't stuck her hand in there and picked up the block, that would have been a short two.
17-13 Manhattan. Siobhan Kilkenny. And Willis that time a bit too quick for Mason. Finally brought away by Sears. Porter out there with Sears, Phillip, along with Harris and Willis. Porter off the mark.
And St. Peter's now is opted to go back into a play, the player really putting some pressure on the basketball.
There's Mason. Likes to go left.
And Sears is really outmatched in terms of her foot speed against Rosalie. Harris does a better job, but the way that they've matched up, we found Sears on Mason. Mason just dropped that shoulder and went to the basket.
Biggest lead of the game for the Jaspers at 6. Offensive foul.
Harris put her shoulder down. Nice move. I think it, as I look at I'll take a look, but I think that it was Sheddick that stepped in, took a nice charge.
We'll be back with more. Jaspers by 6. Welcome back to the Pepsi Arena semifinals of the 2002 HSBC Women's MAAC Tournament. Currently, the Jaspers lead by 6. The 2002 MAAC Volleyball Championship. And it's coming back to Disney's Wide World of Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida, November 16th through the 20th. For spectator packages, contact Anthony Travel at 1-800-736-6377 or go to www.anthonytravel.com. That lady right there, Walters, with 6 points here in the first half, fueling her team to a 13-5 run.
She's played very well, but you know, when you take a look at the stats, you'll see that Manhattan is shooting 42%, doing a good job of it, and St. Peter's is being held to 26%. You would think, with the way St. Peter's is playing, that Manhattan would establish a greater lead. That's what's frightening about the St. Peter's team, not playing well and still only down by 6.
Just under 7 left here in the first half. And a foul that time.
Mason is just such a warrior on the board. She's just non-stop. You just can't stop this kid from getting to the offensive glass.
Double digits with 10. That's nothing out of the ordinary for her. With 21 double-doubles entering play this morning. Porter stepping out. Just nudging the rim. And now a new set here with only 2 on the shot clock. They're going to run themselves out of time.
It's so unlike if we're going to take a look here at this offensive rebound, you see it here. Mason's going to be coming in from here, comes in, totally unchecked, goes up strong. She did such a great job following her shot to get to the offensive glass. She just is unstoppable on the boards today.
Jaspers leading it 19-13 over St. Peter's. This is Reed, blocked by Sears. Natasha Phillip to lead him out. Harris working on Mason, challenging with the left hand.
And Harris needs to do that more often if St. Peter's is going to put some points on the board. She can get to the basket. She can go up strong. Use her left hand that time to float it up there.
4 today for Felicia Harris. Leading scorer, just over 16 a game. Sue Porter matching on Tippett out front. And that time it went off the leg of Eve Walters.
Eve Walters, the big player, 6'2", trying to put the ball down the baseline and go to the board. So she's got herself a nice little game going here. She's shooting from the outside, putting the ball down, taking it against Sears and saying, hey, I'm going to the hoop.
Timeout called by the Manhattan bench. The winner of the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete Award is Mary Kasich, a senior from Manhattan College, an exercise science, sports medicine major. A grade point average of 3.60. She's from Howard Beach, New York. The New York Lottery will provide new computers to Kasich's elementary school. The award is based on GPA, community participation, and good sportsmanship. The New York Lottery, supporting education since 1967, salutes Kasich for her achievements. 19-15. Jaspers controlling tempo over the last 6-7 minutes of this one.
The thing that concerns me is with just 5 minutes left in the half, Dean, with St. Peter's not shooting very well and not executing as well as they'd like, that the Jaspers have only been able to outscore them by 6 points. And the Jaspers are playing very good basketball.
Here's Gonzalez. Stepping in again, Phillip, and she walked. That call made by the umpire, Kathy Lonergan.
Manhattan doing a nice job on that top of the defense, making sure that it's difficult for the St. Peter's guards to see openings.
Sheddick given a rest now. Reed gets at least 20 minutes a game for the Jaspers, playing as a freshman. 5'2". Bach, nice runner from the right baseline.
Manhattan will also drive. After they pull the ball out a little bit, moved it around, they'll throw a drive at you, it throws you off on the game.
First 2 of the day for Christine Bach out of Floral Park, New York. Off the leg of Mason. With 13 remaining on the shot clock.
And St. Peter's not being able to find openings against this zone. They're attacking the gap, but they're not either finishing with a shot or passing off quickly enough so that someone can set themselves up for the outside shot. When they have set themselves up for the outside shot, they haven't knocked it down.
Gonzalez meets the ball. And Seaton missed the chippy. Mason and Seaton tie each other up, and the ball goes the other way.
Jump ball. Alternate possession.
So it'll be an inbound for the Jaspers deep in the backcourt as they lead it 21-15. Check that 23-15 as we get close to 4 minutes left. Here's Walters. Held there by Seaton before she got the shot up. For the Jaspers, this first time ever, they've been the number 3 seed in the tournament, their highest seed in 6 years. Right now, the Jaspers lead it by 8 with 3:54 left in the first half. We'll be back with more on the MAAC Television Network.
If you take a look here at what's happening in the zone, you'll see that the pass is made in the corner, and she'll begin to make her move to the basket here, and the defense does not stop her as she makes the drive. So she comes through, and It's late coming in, and that's why the success inside that Manhattan has enjoyed has been happening probably more often than Coach Grinelli would like.
Neither team lighting it up from the outside, Cecilia. Jasper's 1 of 5 on threes, and St. Peter's very cold, only 1 for 8.
Well, overall, St. Peter's has just not shot the ball very well. You take a look, they're just shooting 26% from the floor. And if they're going to stay in this ballgame, they need to get some outside shots against the zone.
Jasper's out rebounding the Peahens 15-13.
And this is the third offensive charge that's been called. So people are playing good defense. They're getting in good positions. And none of the coaches are complaining about the calls. So you know they must be solid defensive calls.
Second one on Donat Reed. And the 5th on the team. St. Peter's down by 8. With 3.5 left here in the first half.
Boy,
Walter for another clear.
St. Peter's just can't buy one, Dean. They're just, they're going inside. They're slicing into the zone, getting nothing in return, and not getting any second shots.
And now the 4th call against St. Peter's. Sheddick checks back in. Joined by Bach out there, along with Mason, Kilkenny, and Walters. Good time here for the Jaspers to pad the lead. They lead currently by 8 with 3.5 left. Mason. She's earned her keep today with 12.
Well, she just is going to the glass with such authority. She's willing to put her shoulder down, take what comes, and then she stays in there if she misses and goes for the board.
Jasper's biggest bulge at 10 points. Pump fake. Too strong that time by Sears. Easy carom for Rosalie Mason. Kilkenny. A little spin by Walters. That's tough to defend.
It's almost impossible. It's the old Jack Sikma back to the basket, turn around. You drop your elbow, and there's no one that can defend that shot.
Sears going deep. Only their second 3 to go down today.
Well, St. Peter's, Manhattan is giving St. Peter's that shot. And if St. Peter's makes that shot, Manhattan's going to have to come out and play player to player, and they do not match up well when the 2 tall players for St. Peter's, Seton and Sears, are in together.
Mason leads the way with 12. Also has 7 caroms today for the Lady Jaspers. Down to 7 on the shot clock. Good defense that time. Here comes Gonzalez looking behind her. Sheddick that time stepped in with the left shoulder.
Well, Gonzalez had 2 players on the wing that she didn't recognize as being open. She opted to take it down the hole and not distribute the basketball. She was fortunate that Sheddick stepped in with her shoulder and she picked up the foul, because she would have gone against Mason and Walters for a layup. Not good success rate against those 2.
Sheddick leaves with the 2 personal fouls. Shorty Reed back in. Here's Sears. And knocked out of bounds.
Seton's struggling right now on the board. She's going up, not pulling it down. You can see the look of frustration on her face, Dean, as she steps away to play some defense.
Reed runs it at the point. Their high school ball at Nottingham High School up in the Syracuse region, and a walk.
Well, Sears made that happen. Mason started to drop her shoulder, go, and Sears stepped laterally with her. One of the first times in the game that she was able to make that drop step move, and Mason wasn't going to have that ball rejected, so she took that little bunny step with it.
Staying outside. Gonzalez on the 3rd notion. Several rebounds on that weak side today for Kilkenny.
And Manhattan is just saying to St. Peter's, hey, shoot at us. Just shoot at us. We're going to give you the look. We don't believe you're a great shooting team. You're going to have to knock them down.
Here's Reed. Stepping out is Eve Walters. Under a minute left here in the opening half. Reed for 3. Mason with the save for Walters. They got it up in time.
Mason is just relentless on that offensive glass. She keeps it alive. If she doesn't pull it down, she keeps it alive, and that is just a great skill to have as a forward.
Final 16 seconds of the first half. Willis off the pump fake. That is 25-20, Jaspers. Final couple seconds. Will the shot get off in time? It will. Missed there, though, on the perimeter by Kilkenny. 20 minutes in the book. Jaspers lead over St. Peter's 25-20. Back with our halftime right after this on the MAAC Television Network. Back here at the Pepsi Arena, the first semifinal of the day in the 2002 HSBC Women's MAAC Tournament. And the Lady Jaspers 25-20 right now over St. Peter's. And your thoughts on that first half? It definitely looked like St. Peter's just couldn't knock down that outside shot. Manhattan was packing the zone.
They're getting great shots. And, you know, you mentioned they're packing the zone and saying to St. Peter's, you have to shoot well in order to beat us today. And St. Peter's is coming up at 28%. They need to shoot better than that if they're going to win this ball game. The surprising thing is that they're only down by 5 points at halftime.
They got down by 10 at one point, made a little run there at the end of the first half to cut it down. But let's take a look at some scores now from earlier games in the tournament. In the play-in game, Iona upsetting Ryder 55-52. Greyhounds over Niagara 79-62. And then you see St. Peter's with the 14-point win against Loyola, the 2-seed against the 10-seed. You would expect that.
Well, you know, as you go through, the upsets have happened in the first round, and there was a semi-upset in the second round last evening when Fairfield played Canisius. But it really wasn't an upset to anyone who really understood how close these teams had played and that it could be a 4-5 seed all the way through. St. Peter played very well yesterday, shot the ball fairly well. Is just not shooting the ball well today. Manhattan's Rosalie Mason. Ooh, what a story. She's just owning the glass. She's keeping the ball alive everywhere on the basketball court. And if you see and take a look at the brackets, the best four, I believe, have found their way to this semifinal. Which two will find their way to the next game is really up for grabs.
Yeah, that's going to be an amazing game. Siena and Fairfield coming up in the nightcap. Fairfield got done at 12:30 this morning in their win earlier against Canisius. At halftime, 25-20, Jaspers over St. Peter's. Back with more of our halftime after this on the MAAC Television Network.
This game is brought to you in part by the New York Lottery. New York Lotto gives you 2 games for $1, so play today. Hey, you never know. By Continental Airlines. Work hard, fly right. Ryder Trucks, logistics and transportation solutions worldwide. And by I Love New York. Show your love for New York State.
At the half, our first semifinal of the day in the women's bracket. Manhattan leads over St. Peter's 25-20. Marist's men's head coach Dave McGarity isn't the only McGarity to represent the Foxes this season. His daughter Maureen is a first-year player for the Lady Red Foxes after transferring in from Boston College. Let's check out this week's feature on the junior from Wappingers Falls, New York.
He coaches at the college. She plays for it, just not on the same team. He is a household name around Poughkeepsie. She grew up in his household around Poughkeepsie.
I'm still always going to be Dave's daughter around here.
Around here is Marist College, where for the past 15 seasons, Dave McGarity has guided the Red Foxes men's basketball program. In December, the women's program gained to McGarity when former Lourdes High School standout Maureen transferred in from Boston College.
When I went in there my freshman year, I had a stress fracture and I had to sit out for a whole month. I just thought at the time it was important for me physically to just get healthy because I really wasn't healthy. So, I mean, I had a great opportunity just coming to Marist.
The coach is candid when it comes to two of his loves.
I would say, to be quite honest, it's easier to watch our team play.
Still, whenever possible, Dad can be found in the stands watching his daughter, who is now a regular, averaging 5 points and 3 rebounds.
I think unfairly sometimes the expectations are there for her. She was a a very good high school player. She's a player of the year in the state.
No one can come in and take 2 years off of something and be as good as you were right away. She's going to help us win some games, and it's just a matter of time. Together. I think her and her father have such a great relationship that she respects what he thinks, and I don't think Dave puts so much pressure on her that she doesn't want to hear it.
He has things that he wants to say, but he'll always ask me first if, Maureen, do you want to talk about it? And then I'll say, yeah, Dad, tell me what I do wrong.
But when it comes to criticism, the constructive kind, in the McGarity household, it's a two-way street. What you give, you had better be willing to get.
She questions me sometimes about our rotations and our guard rotations and, who didn't play. And
yeah, sometimes I do. A little too much. I mean, it's hard not to sometimes. Sometimes he listens to me, and other times he just looks at me and kind of laughs like, all right, but it's fun.
Nice piece there on the McGarity's dad and daughter Maury. 5-point lead for Manhattan over St. Peter's at halftime. We'll be back with more on the MAAC Television Network. Back here at the Pepsi Arena, and it's a 25-20 lead for the Jaspers. St. Peter's really struggling from the field as we take a look at some of the numbers from the first 20 minutes of this one, as they only knocked down 1 of 7 on 3-point attempts.
And you take a look here, they're shooting just 28% for the game. They're a team that averages 40% for the game. They're finding themselves at a disadvantage in the way that they're shooting. The Jaspers, a 41% shooting team, shooting 39%. Jaspers are doing a little bit better job getting better looks at the basket.
Several blocks there by the Jaspers, 6. St. Peter's with 2. Those stats brought to you by Coach USA. Coming up next, we'll review the first half highlight form and be back with our second half after this on the MAAC Television Network. Jaspers over St. Peter's, 25-20 at the break. Let's take a look now at the first half video highlights.
Well, you take a look here, and from the start, Manhattan's challenging St. Peter's to make the pass and make the shot. Sears gets 2 of her 5 on that one with the outside shot. Phillips has been the surprise of the game, leading scorer at 6, challenging the gap, going in between the defensive points and making a statement with her shooting. On the other end, you have Shorty Reed coming down the heart of the defense, dishing for one of her 2 assists, and again finding Walters as she's running ahead of the pack for the shot. Reed has done a very nice job. You have Mason, who is just doing yeoman's work inside today, going right, going left, pulling up, taking jump shots. When she misses, she's on the glass. She has been everywhere.
12 points today for Rosalie Mason, along with the 8 first half rebounds. Throw in to start the second half. St. Peter's here, going now with Phillip out there with Willis, Porter, Harris, and Seaton. That's Willis trying the deep one. It's a 2-pointer.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach talked about them not shooting well, and they now have responded. Very first outside shot knocks it down.
What adjustments do you see St. Peter's making?
Well, I don't know that you need to make very many adjustments at this point. They're getting good shots, Dean. I think the only adjustment or the only urge of sense of urgency Coach Brunelli needs to express to his team is if they don't make the shot, someone has got to come up with a board.
Really no second chance opportunities in that first half. There's Willis establishing and another roll.
And you see that Phillips was able to do it in the first half. One of the things that Manhattan is not doing, and Coach calls a quick timeout knowing that St. Peter's, boy, they talked about it and they're ready to play. One of the things that St. Peter's is doing a better job of now in the first 2 possessions, certainly they hit the shot, but they're challenging the top of the zone, going at the 2 guards, saying if you're not going to pick us up, we're going to pull up and take the jump shot.
Well, they led by 5 at halftime, the Jaspers, and it was Rosalie Mason, the sophomore out of England, who had the big numbers, 12 points and 8 boards.
I am just so impressed with her. She takes the ball with her left hand, lays it up, goes up strong, goes up right, takes a jump shot, misses, comes from the strong side, puts it up again. She has done that all day long. She's great off the dribble. She's got a good outside shot. And she's willing to go to the boards and work at it. Can't get much better than that. Can't ask her to do much more than she's doing right now.
Well, number 2 in the MAAC in scoring entering play today, averaging 19 a game. And number 1 in rebounding. That's the reason she was named first team all-conference. The amazing thing about that, and you've touched on it, Cecilia, a few times this morning, just a sophomore.
Just a sophomore. You know, she is a player that is going to do such great things in this program, bring them one step closer to where they want to be in each season that she plays. Already, we look at her total points. She has 12. She's right on her scoring average. And at the half, she had 8 rebounds. I like her presence on the court. She just walks on, quietly goes about business, isn't showy, plays the ultimate team game, and is willing to do all the little things that make great players great.
Sal Buscalia making that quick timeout call. I think it was a good one to stop the run early. This is Bach to bring it across. Now for Rosalie Mason. Surprised her own teammate Walters.
Well, you know, Mason, after the errant pass, surprising Walters, goes up, taps her on the stomach, says, don't worry about it. You know, that's the way I like to see players respond when mistakes are made. No looks, no accusatory glances, just support.
Porter open for the 3 look. That's Sue Porter.
And the first 3 shots of St. Peter's have gone down. 1 on the inside, 2 on the outside.
And St. Peter's grabs the lead for the first time in a long time at 27-25.
And Manhattan is playing well. Not to take anything away from the way that Manhattan is playing, but Coach Granelli must have had a powerful conversation with his team about the sense of urgency. And the one criticism that one might have of the St. Peter's team is they have a tendency not to come out with a sense of urgency in play, and they wait until the last few minutes to really play their up to their capabilities.
Double team on the baseline. And the 5-second violation.
That's a nice strategy on Manhattan's part, making the post players passers and not just scorers. Seton got caught up in that.
St. Peter's on the 7-0 run to start the second half. Have jumped out to the 2-point lead 2 minutes into the second half.
And if St. Peter's does not miss shots, Manhattan cannot rebound. And if Manhattan cannot rebound, it cannot run.
Mason curled it in that time. Their first 2 of the second half. Mason now with 14.
Mason's a pretty good Band-Aid to stop bleeding for both teams, isn't she?
Definitely. Harris on the box, and the foul.
And it looks as if one of the other adjustments that St. Peter's has made is they're going to challenge Eve Walters right now. They're going to make her play defense, and if you take a look here at this play, Felicia Harris is setting up in the block. Eve Walters is opting to play behind the post. That'll mean that she's either going to block shots or get herself in a little bit of foul trouble.
Picking up her first foul right there. Harris for 2. Felicia Harris, 3 for 3 in a ball game at the free strike.
She's a good foul shooter. She shoots 76% for the year, so she's money in the bank here.
And she drains a couple. Out of Red Bank, New Jersey, named to the MAAC postseason tournament of a year ago. This is Sheddick. Walters stepping out. Sheddick came up short. St. Peter's doing a much better job on the defensive glass.
Well, they're playing player to player now and really making sure. I think the Harris-Mason matchup is the best matchup that they could put against her.
Felicia Harris now running up some points for St. Peter's. And it's 31-27, the Peahens.
And everything is going St. Peter's way now. Just when you thought Manhattan was playing terrific basketball, thinking that, you know what, this could be one of those games, St. Peter's comes back and really challenges them, both offensively and defensively.
As you see, Mike Granelli, the dean of the coaches in the MAAC in his 30th year. Harris. foul called against Walters. That'll be her second personal foul.
And they're going right at Walters. This half, the strategy appears to be we're playing tough player to player. We believe in ourselves as shooters, and if we're not going to shoot, we're going to rebound. And also, let's go at their posts offensively, make them play defense, get that ball inside. Harris has stepped up and done the job. This will be her second trip in the second half for 2 shots at a foul line.
And we talked about it in the open, how experienced this St. Peter's team is in the MAAC tournament. 31-12 entering play today, and winning 75% of their games.
Well, they've also, if you look historically, they've beaten Manhattan 20 straight times. So, and 7-0 against them in tournament play. Last year's tournament games, Manhattan led by 16 with 12 minutes left in the game, and St. Peter's was able to come back and win that game. So this team is a never-say-die kind of team.
Good run that time for Bach. Here's Porter. And a travel call against Natasha Phillip.
And it might have been that one extra pass. Willis may have been better served by taking the shot. Phillips wasn't quite ready to receive.
And Willis just knocked over Bach at the Pepsi logo.
And Porter turns and tells Willis that she's sorry. She should have let her know. She should have communicated that a player was setting the screen in the middle of the court. She takes responsibility right away. You see it here. Willis, bang, hits a solid screen. Porter looks over to her, apologizes. Boy, that was a strong hit. Buck got up a little bit slowly on that one.
You would say women's basketball is somewhat physical?
The game has changed, hasn't it?
Definitely. Little ISO. Mason working against Harris.
And Mason does damage to you, but she's a lot more deadly when she's on the low block than when she's at the foul line taking that short jumper.
They'll reset it. Nice hustle that time by Walters to keep the ball alive in the offensive end. Jaspers down by 5 early here in the second half. Good defense played that time by Phillips, staying right in the face of Kilkenny.
And Seton has been a monster on the boards in this half. She's skying to get the rebound.
By the year, Seton's picking off 9 a game to lead the team. They're working that inside-outside game well here in the early part of the second half.
And they're keeping Harris on the low block, keeping her close to the glass, really making Mason play her and having Walters pick up Seton, which is a much better matchup for St. Peter's on the offensive end.
Willis with good numbers here in the second half. She's got 6 second-half points, biggest lead of the game now, where St. Peter's at 7.
How quickly things changed.
The way they opened up that early part of the second half. Mason inside. She's been their offense.
Well, Mason, if the game begins to go St. Peter's way, look to Mason to see that ball early and often. St. Peter's is in a 19-4 run in the last 8 minutes. That's pretty phenomenal.
Mason with 16 to lead her squad today. There's Porter, her second trifecta of the second half.
There's no hesitation now. There's no hesitation about taking the shot. They trust that they'll have rebounders underneath.
She shoots 34% to lead the team. Step out by Eve Walters. Back to Walters. Nice give and go.
Nice pass. Nice split the post. Rosalie Mason, Walters ran off her back door. Nice bounce pass. Now we know she can pass too.
She could do it all. We saw it in yesterday's game. Too much hop that time by Felicia Harris.
And it seems to be now the fight of Harris and Mason. They're going back and forth at one another, and the two big players are starting to play big basketball.
13:52 left here in the second half. St. Peter's has moved out to a 6-point lead. We'll be back.
I know most of you just graduated high school last year, or maybe you've been working for a while, seen some things, done some things, but nothing has prepared you for what's going to happen now. We're going to set goals for each of you, way up here, way up here, and then we're going to help you exceed them, believe it. And when finished, you're going to have not just a degree, you'll be a different person, a better person. Welcome to Iona.
Aspire, achieve. Iona. Call Iona College at 1-800-231-IONA.
Jaspers jumping out here in the second half. I should say St. Peter's jumping out 37-31. The MAAC Women's Player of the Year this year went to Gunta Boschko, junior forward, Siena College. What's impressive about that is she's won it back-to-back years and still only a junior. And for the MAAC Women's Rookie of the Year, that went to Tiana Sears, who's playing in this one, freshman forward from St. Peter's.
Well, we'll see these players for a long time, Dean. You'll see Tiana Sears is doing a great job today, and she's a fun player to watch. And Gunta has another season beyond this one, so is it possible 3 in a row? It would be a MAAC record-breaking award. She was the only sophomore to ever win Player of the Year in the history of the MAAC, so pretty gifted young women.
And watching the quarterfinals yesterday with you, we marveled at the young talent in the MAAC. This is Christine Bach. Harris giving a little room now for Mason.
So they're really playing Mason for the drive.
On the turnover.
In this run, St. Peter's has gotten to the boards 5 times to just 1 of Manhattan's time at boards. So the message was delivered and received by this St. Peter's team. We need to get to the boards in order to take control of the game, and it seems to be working.
Turnover that time on St. Peter's. Turnovers in that first half. St. Peter's had 10 and Manhattan had just the 6.
And that's uncharacteristic of St. Peter's. They only averaged 15 turnovers a contest, so it was an uncharacteristic first half, and they seem to be jumping right out to the way that they play basketball at the start of the second.
Ball loose, finally picked out there by Felicia Harris, as Donette Reed had problems. This is Gonzalez. As St. Peter's has not missed a shot to start the second half. They're 6 for 6.
And doing everything right. They're getting the ball to the right people. They're getting to the foul line. Felicia Harris is challenging either Mason or Walters, whoever's defending her at that point on the block, and saying, give me the basketball. She's gone to the foul line 4 times, knocked down all 4.
Felicia Harris with 11, averaging 16 a game. Settling outside, but the putback by Walters. 39-33, Peacocks lead it. Reed went for the steal. Porter, another 3.
That's the 3rd straight 3, so much for the shooting slump that St. Peter's found itself in the first half. They're deadly shooters in the second.
Porter with the 3 here in the second half. Normally averages 7 a game. And right now, it looks like the Jaspers are just settling for the jump shots.
And no one seems to be going to the boards. Rosalie Mason was with such authority in the first half. We've not seen her around the glass in the second.
Nice save that time by Donette Reed, the lead out for Kilkenny. Willis back on D. Walters got Lowbridge down low.
And I think Gonzalez, I think Gonzalez is going to be called for backing out against Walters. I don't believe that they'll call Walters in the foul.
St. Peter's with some outstanding shooting here to start the second half. Led by that lady, Sue Porter has knocked down 3 trifectas. They lead it by 9.
We see here what has been happening most of the game. You have Felicia Harris setting up on the low block opposite the ball, flashing across the defender's stomach, and then making a great one-on-one move back to the basket. You're going to see this more often. If Rosalie Mason doesn't defend so that Harris makes the cut across her stomach, then Harris will find herself in a low block position. So Rosalie really has to take a look and try to get Harris to go behind her as she makes that move. Nice move on Harris's part.
Since the 3:20 mark remaining in the first half, St. Peter's outscoring Lady Jaspers 27-8.
It's been all St. Peter's in this start of second half.
Jump shot by Mason inside. Mason with 18 today has knocked down 9 of 17 shots. Ten and a half left here in the ball game. 42-35. Nice steal by Mason on a jump out.
Manhattan has doubled down against the post on a couple of occasions and come up with some steals as a result of it. It's a good maneuver. If St. Peter's is not more protective of the ball, it's a real giveaway.
Gonzalez watching on Reed with that crossover. The 3-look. Mason trying to put back, was tied up by Gonzalez, and it will stay down on this end.
Mason got great rebounding position. Went in. I thought she may have shoved Sears a little bit. The official didn't see that. You'll see her go underneath here if we can catch a look at it. And you see her tap Sears forward. Mason goes up. Gonzalez did a nice job of coming back.
And Rosalie Mason trying to will her team back into this one.
Well, it seems to be the answer. Get the ball to Rosalie because she's doing the scoring and she can go up strong with it.
Already with 20 here this morning. Sears for the little run.
6'2" freshman that can put it down from the outside, make 2 dribble move and pull up and take a shot. What a great future she has in front of her. St. Peter's has to be excited.
Here's Walters for the spin.
And she's forcing Walters to take the Jack Sigma back to the basket move, and that's a hard move to make because it doesn't give you any offensive rebounding position if you miss.
Willis had the hot hand to start the second half. She missed that little cupcake. Jaspers down by 7, their possession. 8:40 left here in the ball game. Mason posting. Nice dish. Equally great block by Sears. Mason put back and count it.
And that was a series of just great athletic moves. You saw passes, you saw rejections, you see offensive rebounds.
Second personal on Sears. And Mason now with 22.
Take a look at this highlight. Great pass from Mason. Great rejection from Sears. Mason picks it back up, gets fouled. Chance for a 3-point play.
The save by Kilkenny. Sears coming up big.
Sears is stepping up and just swatting them away. She's daring them to come to her home.
12th rebound of the day for Rosalie Mason. Kilkenny had a day to think about it. And they got the word from the bench, let's just settle down a little bit.
Well, the tempo has changed. And you don't want, I think Coach Grinelli does not want his St. Peter's team running and gunning with these people. I think he really wants to set it up and take good shots.
They started out the second half knocking down their first 8 shots. Gonzalez beating the shot clock.
Well, she had nothing left but baseline. Felicia Harris cleared it out for her by backing her defender away, and Gonzalez made a good one-on-one move to the basket.
First 2 of the day for Gonzalez, sophomore from Haverstraw, New York. Too far that time for Reed, who did a somersault. 7:08 left here in regulation. St. Peter's 46, Manhattan 39. Back with more MAAC Television Network.
Manhattan College, with 5 schools of arts, business, education, engineering, and science. Minutes from the cultural center and global marketplace that is New York City. Founded in the Lasallian tradition of excellence in teaching, respect for human dignity, and commitment for social justice. Manhattan College.
.708 left here in the second half. St. Peter's jumping out to a 7-point advantage right now, 46-39. Hey fans, the 2002 MAAC Hockey League Championship hits the ice. Big difference here in the ball game. St. Peter's bench outscoring Manhattan 9-0.
Well, I think that Manhattan is going with who brought them, and those players have been stalwart out there and playing a lot of minutes. St. Peter's all year long has played 10 to 12 people, and they're always looking for the best matchup. But the 2 players that you'll find out there most of the time are going to be Harris and Porter. They've brought them here, they're seniors. I don't look for them sitting on the bench very long, if they get to the bench at all.
Sears, big step inside. Mason, another rebound. Her 22nd double-double today. Walters.
Nice move. And you know, when St. Peter's misses and Manhattan rebounds, St. Peter's has got to get back in transition, because one of the keys to the game is to slow down the run of Manhattan. You do it by either shooting exceptionally well or by rebounding. St. Peter's has done both in this stretch of the second half.
Gonzalez looking it over from the perimeter. Now Phillip on the weak side.
And that's the second time Walters has got caught not protecting the weak side of the board. And that was a great move and a great athletic move on Willis's part, finishing it off.
This is Bach. On the baseline adventure, she cashes it in. 5-point lead for the P-Hens.
St. Peter's going down, very steady, very organized, very much in control of the kind of shot they want to take.
Sears. Bad miss.
Bad miss. Rosalie comes up with another rebound. Manhattan tries to get it down quick.
Her career high in rebounds, 19 against Ryder. She's going to challenge that this morning.
Well, tournament time. Big players put up big numbers in tournament time.
A little wide that time by Walters. And it'll be kept down on the near end.
We'll see right here Walters on that last play coming down. She steps up into the middle and doesn't do a good job of helping here. If you're going to go up to the middle as the defensive player, you really have to make certain you open up and see the ball and the player you're defending.
You can see how long Gonzalez waited for that play to materialize. Blocked by Sears. It was Seaton with the blocks in the first half. Now in the second half, it's Sears. They'll take some time off the clock this trip down. Getting close to 5 minutes left in regulation. 5-point lead for the P-Hens.
When the 2 big players of St. Peter's are in, you have a tendency to put Felicia Harris on the outside and keep her away from the low block. I personally like Felicia Harris on the inside. I think she does more damage. But she does have the ability to drive and slash to the basket, and she can hit the outside shot. And Felicia Harris is back in the low block, but they missed her on the help side.
Gonzalez, put back.
And Walters again getting caught, committing herself too far to the middle on defense and not coming back to help side box out.
There's Reed working against Gonzalez, drawing the foul.
2 very quick players going after one another. Reed and Gonzalez, perhaps the 2 quickest players on the court, maybe the 2 quickest players in tournament, playing a little one-on-one game there.
And a timeout called now by the Manhattan bench. Reed is wincing in pain, coming down on that leg. As you see Sal Buscalia looking up. Today coaching his 124th game, entered play today with 69 wins. Former head coach of the University of Buffalo, as well as Hilbert Junior College up in Hamburg, New York. In fact, he's a resident of Buffalo, New York originally. Graduated from Canisius back in 1976.
You know, we talk about the teams opting to play in the zone, and you see here in this position, the box out, was the 2 players on 1 and Eve Walters not coming down and doing her job on the box out. Box out position in the 2-3 is predetermined. If you find that you are helping with ball and when the ball is shot, you need to get back where you belong. Eve Walters has gotten caught twice on that, one in a player and the other in a zone. Seton was there waiting for the basketball, laid it back up again. If you're going to stay in that zone, boy, you got to get position when the ball is shot, no matter where you are in the court.
So it is Donette Reed ready to take a couple, and if she scores here on either free throw attempt, it'd be the first bench points of the morning for the Jaspers.
And it's one of the few times they've been at the foul line. They've not been at the foul line as often as they usually are in a game. St. Peter's has been to the foul line a good many more times than them.
First point of the day for Donette Reed, averaging normally about 7 a game.
She's been quiet in this contest. She's playing great D, but not really, and passing the ball very well, but not scoring at the pace that at the clip that she usually does.
There's Gonzalez. Now for Sears. Put back.
That's one of the few times that Mason has allowed the player she's defending to get to the offensive glass before she boxes out and does her defensive job. Sears doing a nice job on the boards right now.
She's all around it on both ends. Blocked by Harris. And a roll by Mason.
Mason's has her double-double right now. It depends on whether she gets to record-breaking pace by the game's end.
She's got 24 today, her career high 30 against Marist earlier this year. Looked like Mason got a piece, followed by Seton.
Seton is really having her way inside right now. Walters looks a little fatigued. In the first half, first 30 minutes, she had some legs, but right now she appears fatigued, and you can see that Seton's just knocking her out of there.
3-minute mark, 7-point lead for the Peahens. Nice block again. Mason. And they've got Sears.
And you go from a block where you clearly see St. Peter's dominates, and Mason just comes from nowhere. Where was she? She came from the foul line for that ball. So she's doing the job on boards again. We take a look at the highlights. The shot is taken. Look at that block. It's ferocious. Mason comes from the foul line, jumps down, gets a piece on it, really out-muscles, and really takes the ball strong to the foul line to get to. That was all Rosalie Mason. She's getting to the foul line on all her effort.
Timeout call by St. Peter's. They've got 3 left in the well. Manhattan still with a couple. Down to the 2:54 mark. Still a 7-point lead for St. Peter's. Find out more about MAAC basketball. Go online and check out the conference website at www.maacsports.com. It's updated regularly and provides current information about your favorite MAAC teams and players.
We were able to overhear a little bit from here what was happening in the huddle with Coach Grinelli, and he's urging his team, you have to box out, you have to rebound. It's been the name of the game. His assistants are saying the same thing. Get to the boards. Keep Mason away from the glass. Certainly if she gets to the glass, don't send her to the foul line. Mason is a decent foul shooter. She's an excellent foul shooter at 78% on the year.
She continues her good stroke. 54-48. Her team down.
There's plenty of time and there's plenty of basketball left. It's just who executes in these last. Who rebounds, who executes. Ends up last 2 minutes usually walking away with a game winner.
St. Peter's of a year ago went 17-11. This year ending play at 23-5. And a hold is called. Bach went down rather heavily. New player coming in, Natasha Phillips.
Phillips did such a nice job in the first half, splitting the defense, taking that little jump shot. Phillip does a good job. As I said, she's way above her average, but she's a pretty good shooter. She's 43% from the floor, so when you put the ball in her hands, she's going to do good things. She doesn't take the three-point shot, so teams give her a lot of room, and she's just a 60% foul shooter. So when you put her to the foul line, you might be better served hitting her on the drive than having her go all of the way.
St. Peter's has been a terror on the glass here in the second half, especially on the offensive boards.
You take a look at what is happening between Sears and Seton. They're just owning it. They're going up second effort shots. You see one on the block. You see one on the other side. When St. Peter's misses, you'll either see 0-0. The freshmen 44 go for it. They are just burning it up. They've made the difference. Coach Grinelli has opted to go with a bigger squad in the second half than perhaps he did in the first half. That's why we've seen Phillips on the bench a little bit longer than we did as the game began, and it has paid off.
And when the Peahens out-rebound their opponents, it's no contest. They've won 17 of the 18 this year.
And that was a concern of the Manhattan coaches in the post-game yesterday after the Marist game. They talked in depth of their challenge today would be to keep the players off the boards. St. Peter's on the boards was dangerous. They knew they had a great rebounder in Mason, but they couldn't allow Seton or Sears to dominate. Well, they've not done what they had hoped that they would do.
This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC Properties, a division of Host Communications. 2:39 left here in regulation, 54-48. Peahens lead it. As you see the Jasper cheerleaders, still plenty of time, still plenty of timeouts left. Mentioned earlier, 3 left right now for St. Peter's and 2 left on the board for the Lady Jaspers.
Well, St. Peter's has shot the ball so well in the second half. They're 14 for 23. They're shooting 60% from the floor. Manhattan isn't shooting a terrible percentage. They were shooting 38 in the first, 37 in the second. It's just 3-point percentages off their average. It's just that St. Peter's has done just a better job on the boards. You see, Seton has had 10 defensive rebounds for a total of 13, and she's had 5 blocks along with Tiana Sears.
Saw the graphic earlier. St. Peter's outscoring Jaspers by 11 here in the second half. Harris. Hawkinson into the lineup for the first time today for the Clear.
I do think that Walters needed a blow, and you see that Hawkinson for the first time is in, perhaps to neutralize Seton a little bit.
Harris matching up that time on Bach. Near theft. Shot clock down to 3 seconds. They got it off. Missed by Bach. That was a big trip down.
It was a big trip down, and they used all of 30 seconds on the clock. You see Gonzalez now really taking her time, bringing the ball up, making Shorty Reed play defense. At some point, St. Peter's has to think about, Manhattan has to think about fouling.
Each team with 5 team fouls. Phillip. Mason gathers it in on the perimeter. Reed to run it on Phillip. Draws the foul.
And St. Peter's doesn't want to stop the clock with a foul, and does. Now Reed, again, going to the foul line. She started to, it looks as if she's gotten a little bit of leg in the second half. She makes a nice cross dribble. She sees she's ahead, goes all the way, makes sure contact is created. Reed, however, is just a 60% foul shooter. Again, the stat that no one keeps. How do you shoot in the last 2 minutes under pressure?
And how do you shoot usually on the front ends of one-on-one, even though we're not in that situation yet?
And that's a real test of who your foul shooters are. Porter enters the game again. No surprise. Porter, the general of this team, a senior. You're going to see her and Harris take control in this minute and 18 seconds.
Reed today's made 4 out of her 7 opportunities. 5-point lead now for the Peahens. And heavy pressure at the backcourt. Got loose there on the sideline.
Gonzalez lost the handle. However, you got one official saying one way, another official saying the other. It's the C position's call in basketball. You have a trail, you have a B position, and you have a C. The C makes the call.
And the ball will stay down here on the near end. That was Kathy Lonergan who came up to talk with Bob McEntee, the man that made the original call.
Discussion was made. They're giving it back. They're giving it to St. Peter's, but it was the C's call. The way that they split the court up, the official, the C has the sideline. There's discussion, but it's her call. C makes the call. B is not in the position to see it. St. Peter's will have the basketball.
And an upset Sal Buscala. Timeout on the floor. We'll be back right after this.
It appears on the instant replay, Dean, that the official on the left can't see it. The official on the right can see that 14 touches the basketball as it goes out to the sideline. Reed does touch it. The official in the C position, which is to the right of the screen, made the good call. That's why the officials have paid the big bucks.
Yeah. That's why they have to work as a team. That time they did. So the correct call eventually was made. That'll be St. Peter ball, and that was an important point in time.
Now you make
left for the ball
decisions.
game.
Now you make decisions. You make decisions as to whether you foul, how much time do you waste. St. Peter's will use all of its 30 and then perhaps look inside so that they can get to the foul line.
St. Peter's with that unbelievable 13-0 record. That's the number 2 seed. Hawkinson, another clear.
Walters is back in the game, got her blow. Perhaps could have used that blow a little sooner, but right now that Manhattan has got to make something happen.
2-possession game. Air ball and a 3, put back in a foul.
You know, in that position, you have a substitute come in. Wilson goes in, gets a great, because everybody's keying in on Mason, keep Mason off the boards. The rest of the team has to go with authority, and Wilson's back in. Wilson going to the foul line. You see it here. Walters takes the long shot. Wilson comes from nowhere and goes up strong. Everybody's keying in on Rosalie Mason. Forget that Wilson has come back in the game.
When we come back, Toya Wilson will be at the line. We'll be back with more after this. St. Peter's has advanced to the championship game of the women's MAAC tournament by knocking off Manhattan with a strong second half, 54-50. Let's send it out to midcourt to Cecilia DeMarco.
I'm here with Coach Grinelli. Coach, congratulations. This will be your 12th trip to the final game.
It just seems like the first. Seems like the first.
Coach, in the start of the second half, sense of urgency seemed to kick in. What did you say to your team at the halftime?
We went over a few minor adjustments, but we just said 5 points is not that bad of a score. Let's go out and concentrate on what we have to do and just put it to them.
Now, you had a couple of different changes in lineup. You started to go with the big players. You went with 2 power players along with Harris. What kind of difference in the boards did that make?
Well, we had trouble with matching up with them because we weren't scoring with the smaller lineup. When we tried to go to the big lineup, we weren't playing defense. So finally we went with, we just kept trying to go until we find somebody that was going to work for us. And Porter hit a couple of threes, and she energizes us. And she's been in a bit of a slump, and I think once she hit 1 or 2, it gave everybody confidence that we were on our way.
You're on your way. Coach, you're on your way again. 30 years in the business. You look like you're 26.
Thank you, Cecile. And tell everybody that you know how old I am because you've been in the business too.
Yeah, well, it's great to see you win, Coach. Congratulations tomorrow. Back to you, Dean.
All right, final score again, 54-50. St. Peter's knocking off Manhattan. We'll be back with more as we continue along in our postgame after this on the MAAC Television Network.
This game is brought to you in part by HSBC, by the Pepsi-Cola Company, the joy of Pepsi, Ryder Trucks, logistics and transportation solutions worldwide, and by I Love New York. Show your love for New York State.
Welcome back here in the postgame part of our broadcast. Today, St. Peter's a win Over Manhattan, 54-50 out at center court right now with one of our players of the game. Let's go to Cecilia DeMarco.
Hello, Tiana. Congratulations. It is just wonderful to watch you play basketball. Tell me, as a freshman, how did you prepare for this tournament?
Well, with the help of my roommate, who's the senior captain, Felicia. I mean, she just talked to me like at night and like during the season to prepare me for this.
Now, second half, you came out, you were a monster on the boards. What message did you receive from the coach that you can talk to us about here?
Well, he just told all of us to go to the boards, especially me. So he emphasized it a lot, and I just had to do what he said.
That's a girl. Coaches love players that do what they say. Now, tomorrow, how do you prepare? You go back to the hotel tonight. What's your schedule?
Well, we go to lunch, we get a few hours of rest, and then we go to walk through, like to prepare for tomorrow. And then we have an early night.
What goals do you have in the game for yourself tomorrow?
Well, first we just want to play defense. Well, myself, I just want to play good defense, contribute offensively.
Well, you had a great ball game. It was fun to watch you. I hope it was fun for you to play. We're rooting for you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Back to you, Dean.
All right, thank you. Tiana Sears out of Bloomfield, New Jersey, had the big effort here today. Let's take a look at some of the scores from earlier games. Peters has won this one, going to the finals. We'll be back with more on the MAAC Television Network. Today, St. Peter's has knocked off Manhattan by the score of 54-50, but in that first half, the Jaspers led it after 20 minutes, 25-20. They were doing well, and their jump shots are playing good defense, and then the wheels came off to start the second half.
Well, I think in the second half, St. Peter's got the message. Coach Grinelli wasn't calm about his approach to what he perhaps said to them in the second half. This sense of urgency, the seniors heard it, passed on the message to the freshmen to say, look, we want to be in this final game. We can't be shooting in the 20s. We can't not be rebounding. We can't not be playing good defense. They came out in the second half, and St. Peter's dominated from the start. 8 for 8 from the floor, owned the boards, had a 6-1 run on the boards. Sears and Seton blocking a total of 10 shots in the game, all happening in a stretch. It was all St. Peter's, and Manhattan could hang on and barely hang on, but made a great run towards the end and had the chance to finish, but didn't.
I thought the big difference, though, to start the second half was the senior leadership of Sue Porter stepping outside, knocking down 3 triples.
Well, Coach Grinelli talked a little bit at the interview about her not shooting the ball well at the start of the game, but he had complete trust in her as a player, saying, continue to take those shots, put 3 threes in, distance of 7 points, game becomes St. Peter's.
How about the effort today, though, of Rosalie Mason?
Oh, Rosalie Mason, 25 points, 18 boards. I'd like to count, just for my own past coaching expertises, how many times that young woman touches the ball on the offensive board. Doesn't necessarily keep it herself or gather the rebound. How many times does she keep it alive? I counted unofficially in a stretch 11 times that she touched the basketball. If you can't touch it, if you can't gather it in, touch it so that a teammate can touch it. That's what Rosalie does. What a future Manhattan has. Shorty Reed, point guard, Shedding just a junior, Kilkenny back. They have a team of the future. And although they're disappointed about the outcome, each year the coaches have brought them one step further along in this tournament. Look for them perhaps to break in to 1-2 next season. Great tournament finish for them. Great season for Manhattan. They have much to be excited about. Rosalie Mason is a player.
Yeah, the Jaspers end up the regular season and into the postseason at 18-11. Go back to the St. Peter's story. What's ahead now for them?
Well, St. Peter's playing both either Fairfield or Siena are real challenges. They've played these teams before. They've always been in this position of all of the seeds that you don't want to play in the tournament. Everyone will say it loud and clear. This is no secret. We do not want to play Mike Grinelli's squad. They have been there too often. They have finished in the top 12 times. They've won 8 championships, don't like being the runner-up, and they're athletic. They have leadership from seniors. They have young people that can play. They're good on the outside. They're good on the inside. Siena, Fairfield will have their hands full tomorrow. It will be a great finish. I'm excited about being able to see Felicia Harris one more time, to watch Porter play, and to watch Seton and Sears together. It's the Twin Towers. They're wonderful. They do a great job. They themselves will take this team, perhaps,
to where Coach Grinelli would like them to finish, which is always in Coach Grinelli's mind, a season is not a good season until it's over at the MAAC when you've the #1 trophy.
Well, now they've improved to 24-5 overall. So even if they get to that championship game, and let's say they did end up losing it, they still have to be considered for the NCAA.
Always. When they're in the top 2 position, 25 wins. I don't know what the bubble numbers are, but the MAAC also, to remember, sent 2 teams last year, and it wasn't the team that was supposed to have finished first that got the seed. Siena upset Fairfield in that game, and both teams ended up moving along to postseason play. Mike Grinelli's squad, if they don't make the next step to the NC2As, and if it's Siena, I'm not sure Fairfield could get a bid even if they were to finish second in the tournament. If it's Siena that they play, don't be surprised if both teams end up playing in the NCAA tournament, as both teams, Fairfield and Siena, did last season. I'm not sure that unless Fairfield wins the tournament outright with a losing record, I'm not sure you're going to get in.
4-point win today for the Lady Peahens over the Jaspers of Manhattan. 54-50 our final count. We'll be back with more after this on the MAAC Television Network. Welcome back to the Pepsi Arena. St. Peter's has won in the semifinals today over Manhattan, 54-50. They advance to tomorrow night's championship game. I'm Dean Darling. I am joined by Julie Byron, Special Events Coordinator for the MAAC, and Kurt Blake, who is the Director of Athletics at Ryder. And wrestling is coming to town. It's coming to Albany, in fact, the 3rd weekend in March, and Julie's here to tell us a little bit about it. That's supposed to be a great event.
It sure is, Dean. Like you said, the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championship is coming here to Albany, and the Pepsi Arena. Competition dates are March 21st through the 23rd. Serving as tri-host is Rider University, along with Siena College and the MAAC. And 3 years of planning have gone into this event, and we're really excited to have it here as we head down the home stretch.
What goes into that, Julie, planning for something like that, campaigning to get it here on the East Coast?
Well, we had to submit the bid process 5 years ago, I think, at this point, and then it's just a matter of getting the volunteers and coordinating the Pepsi Arena staff. And like I said, we're in the home stretch.
Kurt, let's ask you, as far as this is concerned, you're involved in the NCAA and the structure of getting the wrestling championships here. I know it's big out there in the Midwest, but you get it here in the East. That's important.
Well, I think it's big here in the East, too, Dean. It's in fact, this area is a hotbed for high school wrestling, and it's something that appeals across the nation, certainly. I mean, to have 330 competitors converge on Albany, it's such a great event. It's so different than so many other NCAA events, and that in the opening rounds in particular, with 8 mats going at the same time, and then gradually narrowing down to the championship finals on Saturday. So it's a terrific event, and all the extra things. The local organizing committee here in Albany have done a tremendous job. It's going to be special in regard to the Fan Fest concept and so many things that are going to be different for the fans.
How did Ryder do this year in wrestling? I know they're renowned throughout the East and through the nation.
Actually, I mean, through the years, we've been very competitive, generally a top 20 team. We were down a little bit this year. We'll have some competitors here for the NCAA championships, though. I can assure you that, Dean.
Julie, I was talking to you earlier this morning when we got over to the arena. What is Albany doing to promote this event?
Well, we're currently under a sold-out status, so we don't have to do a whole lot of selling right now. Fans come from all over the country to attend this event, but locally here in Albany, Kurt's alluded to the Fan Fest. Pearl Street out front will be closed. There'll be local vendors, bands. All the hotels are ready. The restaurants are ready, so we're excited.
And that's coming up again, those dates?
March 21st through the 23rd.
All right. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Kurt. Again, the Wrestling Championships coming to here in the Albany area March 20 and 21st. 54-50 today. St. Peter's has advanced. We'll be back with the men's quarterfinal right after this on the MAAC Television Network.